Another video about sports. Did you see what happened? Did you see the bank? Did you see the Brinks truck showed up to Canelo's house? They backed it up all the way. 11 fights, $385 million to this streaming service that just started in September. They got some deep pockets. Deep pockets. You got billionaire pockets trying to push this streaming service. Part of the reason why is UFC Fight Pass did so well and it made so much money that they're going to try to duplicate this service, and it looks like they're doing it. You know, this was a huge get. Now Mayweather is all of a sudden talking about fighting Khabib and fighting Conor and Canelo mentioned Mayweather again because there's big money there. There's big money. That streaming service, you know, because I looked into it, it's $10 a month, right? So you say to yourself, well, you know, they're going to pay this guy $70 million a year up until 2023, and, you know, that's a lot of money and this and that. Well, look at this. If you had 1 million subscribers, if you gain 1 million subscribers as a result of this Canelo thing, that's $100 million a month. That's $1.2 billion a year. Okay? So if we're going to pay, you know, $10 times a million, no, I'm sorry, that's $10 million a month. So if that's $120 million a year. So if Canelo brings in 1 million subscribers, paid subscribers to the service, I think it could be done. I think there's a lot of money to be made right there. I said 100 million a month. That's not right. But they can grow this service dramatically. They have a lot of other fights on there. If you look at it, they have Bellator, they have another UFC. If everybody exclusively goes on this service, I'm probably going to subscribe to it. $10 a month is not that bad, and I'm going to get all this content. I think this is the beginning of destruction of the pay-per-view model. I mean, Conor did 2.4 million with Khabib at the pay-per-view at UFC, but this changes the thing. Imagine if Conor could sign a $385 million. Did Conor sign? Conor signed a 6-fight contract, right? This guy signed twice the amount. Is he getting? Is the deal the same? However, I will say this: that Conor's whiskey brand could make him a billionaire. I mean, it's very well possible. That beverage industry is ridiculous, and if you have to have that proper 12 whiskey in every single store because he's promoting it like crazy, he's a smart guy. I actually think that's the route to go because he can make money from that for years and years and years after he plays. So that, to me, is probably a more lucrative deal than signing this $385 million deal with DANZ or DANZ or whatever it's called, DAZN. It's a streaming service. Like I said, it's $10 a month. You can watch it anywhere. I kind of like that idea. If it centralizes boxing, where you have a place where you can get, say, 80% of all the boxing events, you know, I like that idea. A fight that's coming up that's going to be pay-per-view that I think is not going to do very well is this Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight that's going to be at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. And, you know, boxing events it's going to sell out, but it's not going to destroy pay-per-view numbers because, one, heavyweight boxing does well overseas in Europe. And so why would you do this huge? You can do it at the O2 Arena. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a quality fighter and he's highly marketable, but he's selling 70, 80,000 seats, making $35-40 million. I don't know if Wilder and Fury are making that kind of money. It'd be interesting to see what kind of pay-per-view numbers they do. I think they would have been good to go on the streaming service and sign some big contracts. I think if Tyson Fury wins, I think he could be ripe for that because I would pay to see him fight. You know, if he can get Wilder, then he's going to fight Joshua. Those are going to be mega fights. Now the question is, where are you going to put these mega fights on? You know, this streaming service that costs $10 a month, I could watch the Canelo fight. And one thing that Canelo mentioned in his little speech where he, you know, talked about, you know, him signing, is the fact that he said that he wanted people to see the fight that maybe couldn't afford it, right? And so for $10 a month, that price point is reachable to almost everybody. And is this going to kill illegal streaming? I don't think it will, but $10 a month, I can afford that. You know, $10 a month is not going to break the bank. That's a trip to Starbucks. And you can get and it's not just Canelo. There's going to be a lot of Golden Boy events. I think that the price got so high because I'm going to speculate, and I think that Facebook had something to do with this. Because Facebook is a very dangerous entity, and like I mentioned before, and Facebook has the ability to market these fights to whoever they want to. They can go after people that are on the bubble and fighting, and they could show up for free. They're generating money in another way. Their ad revenue is another. Their revenue streams another way. Facebook is not a streaming service, but Facebook is making a ton of dough. Why didn't Facebook counteroffer this? Obviously, HBO didn't have the kind of money because they're having a difficult time. And then here's another thing too that a lot of people don't think about when you talk about all this stuff, right? There's people that are behind the scenes. There's people that build these platforms and have these marketing strategies that they go from company to company, and what happens is you lose your A-team staff. So people say, well, how come Facebook can't just do this? Well, not everybody has that ability to put all these things together. A lot of people don't have all these connections. Now, the person that's running this streaming service, DAZN, DANZ or DANZ or whatever you want to call it, they have connections to Golden Boy. That Gomez guy used to run Golden Boy. So those deals were a result of maybe friendships that are 10 or 15 years old. You can't compete with that. How do you compete with that where this is De La Hoya's old friend, and he's been in the fight business as long as him, and he's like, why don't you come over here? We'll give you this whole truckload of money. We'll give you this house filled with money looking like a drug dealer. $385 million is an unreal amount. He's the richest athlete. It's the richest contract ever signed by an athlete in the history of sports. Who's that guy's agent? Who negotiated that deal? Mayweather is talking. Mayweather is like, I'm coming out of retirement. Let's get this money. Let's sign this 10-fight deal. Let's find this 3-fight deal, this 2-fight deal, this 1-fight deal. I like how like Khabib is like, I want to do boxing. Is Khabib's contract restrictive of boxing from the UFC? Is his UFC contract restrictive where he can't do boxing? I don't know. I don't think so. Nobody thought Khabib would do boxing. I would want to see a Khabib Mayweather boxing match. Why not? You put it on that DANZ platform, you're going to get 300,000-400,000 more subscribers probably just on that fight alone. Canelo's fighting this Fielder guy. He looks like a whole nother weight class above Canelo. I think that's going to be a huge challenge. People kind of discounting this, but Fielding, he's a champion, and he wants to fight for belts. So Canelo knows that he probably does have 11 fights. Like, he might be able just to ride off on the sunset. I wouldn't blame him if he did. 5 more years of fighting, 11 fights. This one he's going to fight in December counts as one, so he has 10 more after this, really 10 more. And because they use this fight as leverage to sign this massive contract. And kudos to Golden Boy, kudos to Oscar De La Hoya for not only having a great boxing career, but he just signed a giant contract with a company that has a ton of backing. Obviously, this is, again, I talk about this all the time. Live sports that expires, you can't binge watch this. Live sporting events are so unique in that you cannot binge watch them. Nobody watches the old boxing matches. Some people do, and there's a little bit of viewership there, but it's nothing like what we're talking about here. These are massive audiences, a huge possibility for revenue and growth, and so I think that there is going to be. I don't think this is going to end. I don't think this is going to end. I think that HBO and Showtime should have pooled their resources together. I think it would have been an amazing thing for HBO and Showtime to put their resources together and make a streaming service that they went away from that. But HBO just gave up. It's ridiculous how HBO is a huge company, but I think they're doing so well with all these other shows they have on HBO now that I think their business model is changing too. And it's good for them to change, and boxing has to change and has to kind of unify. And I think when you talk about unification of belts, you also talk about these streaming services. If there's 1 or 2 streaming services, if I can see there being another streaming service that competes with them. This is definitely going to compete with the UFC. UFC's been top dog for a long time. these other companies are figuring out that they have one or two marquee fighters. They can. It's going to drive the price up. You know, they can make money on this. This is a money maker. So advertising dollars are there. There's interest there. UFC has helped martial arts, has helped combat sports as a whole, and so I think that we're in position to make some. I think these guys are in position to make some good money. So let's see how it unravels. I'm interested to see how the Canelo fight thing works out. You know, his first fight. I'm going to subscribe to that service, and maybe I'll do a fight companion for that. I enjoyed doing that one on Facebook Live, but I hope Facebook Watch doesn't go away. I hope it doesn't go away where they're not going to be showing fights anymore. Now, my understanding, you know, because I read the article, that Golden Boy Boxing is going to do 10 high-profile fights a year for this streaming service. So hopefully we still have a big showcasing of these little guys. You know, Facebook is a good place for them, and I still like the idea that Facebook put on bigger fights. HBO, you could have went on Facebook. I know they're competing places, but Facebook has this unique customer base where they can market and target customers to watch. And I think that if Facebook gives up and gets out of the boxing business, I think that's going to be a huge blow to boxing, because these streaming services are good for the big fights, but these little fights, they got to live somewhere, and you got to get paid somehow. And the business model of using advertising dollars to watch on a free platform, I really think that's a good idea. So anyways, that's my take on boxing. You let me know what you think. That's a huge deal. Canelo, you broke the bank. You're making all the money now. You're the Mayweather. And Mayweather's seeing this, and he's like, can I get some of that money? He's like, can I get some of that money? He goes, I can still fight. Although I will say, Mayweather started looking a little sluggish in his speech. Did you see him on TMZ? He looked a little sluggish. He looked a little like his speech got a little hint of slurring. So please don't fight anymore. You know, you damage yourself enough. You're getting older. I know there's one more good payday in there, and I know there's maybe two good paydays in there, but you know, forget the paydays. You got a lot of money. Enjoy it. Live with your kids, and don't get some scrambled eggs for the brains. That'd be unfortunate. He sounded a little sluggish in his speech. So anyways, that being said, talk to you guys later. Tell me what you think. If you agree or don't agree, put it in the comments. Light me up. If you think, hey, this is complete BS, tell me. I could take it. Or if you agree with me, say good job. You know, subscribe to the channel if you want. It's all good. Bye.